In the 30th year, by the Chebar canal in Babylon, among the exiles from Jerusalem, lived a priest named Ezekiel, son of Buzi. 5 years had passed since King Jehoiakim's captivity, when the mighty Nebuchadnezzar had taken them from their homeland. It was there, in the 4th month on the 5th day, that the heavens opened to Ezekiel. The day began like any other in exile, but suddenly a stormy wind came from the north. Within it appeared a great cloud with brightness around it and flashing fire. From the heart of this divine tempest emerged 4 living creatures, each with 4 faces and 4 wings. Their feet gleamed like burnished bronze, straight and solid as a calf's. Under their wings were human hands, yet their faces were extraordinary. Each had the face of a human in front, a lion on the right, an ox on the left, and an eagle at the back. Above these beings stretched a vast expanse, gleaming like crystal. And above this expanse was a throne of sapphire, upon which sat a figure of awesome appearance, like glowing metal surrounded by fire. This was the appearance of the glory of the Lord, and when Ezekiel saw it, he fell face down upon the ground. Then the Lord spoke, "Son of man, stand up on your feet, and I will speak to you." As the words came, the Spirit entered Ezekiel and raised him to his feet. The Lord commissioned him as a prophet to the rebellious house of Israel, warning him that they were a stubborn and obstinate people. Yet the Lord commanded him to speak whether they listened or not. To demonstrate the coming siege of Jerusalem, the Lord instructed Ezekiel to perform a series of symbolic actions. He was to take a clay tablet and engrave upon it a picture of Jerusalem under siege. He lay on his left side for 390 days, bearing the sin of Israel, and then on his right side for 40 days, bearing the sin of Judah. He was given strict rations of food and water, eating bread baked over cow dung, symbolizing the deprivation that would come upon Jerusalem. In the 6th year of the exile, as Ezekiel sat in his house with the elders of Judah, the Lord showed him a vision of the abominations occurring in the temple in Jerusalem. He saw 70 elders offering incense to idols carved on the walls, women weeping for the pagan god Tammuz, and 25 men worshipping the sun in the temple court. The Lord declared that his judgment would come upon these idolaters, sparing only those who grieved over these detestable practices. Then came the most terrible vision, the glory of the Lord departing from the temple. The cherubim raised their wings, the wheels beside them moved, and the glory of the God of Israel went up from the city, leaving the temple empty. Yet even in this darkness, the Lord gave Ezekiel messages of hope. Though his people were scattered among foreign lands, he would be as a sanctuary to them in small measure. Through the years of exile, Ezekiel continued to receive visions and prophecies. When his wife died, the Lord commanded him not to mourn publicly, making even his grief a sign to the people. When news came that Jerusalem had fallen, his tongue was loosened to speak more freely to the exiles. In the 25th year of exile, the Lord gave Ezekiel a vision of hope, a new temple, its measurements precise and perfect. He saw water flowing from under the threshold of the temple, becoming a river that brought life wherever it flowed. Trees grew along its banks, bearing fresh fruit every month with leaves for healing. The Lord promised to cleanse his people from their impurities and give them a new heart and spirit. He would remove their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. He would restore them to their land and multiply them like the flocks of sheep that filled Jerusalem during its appointed feasts. Finally, Ezekiel saw the glory of the Lord return to the temple from the east, entering through the gate that faced east. The glory of the Lord filled the temple, and he heard a voice declaring that this was the place of God's throne, where he would dwell among his people forever. Throughout all his years of prophecy, Ezekiel remained faithful to his calling. He spoke the words given to him, performed the signs commanded of him, and stood as a watchman for the house of Israel. His message carried both severe warning and sublime hope, warning of judgment for sin, yet hope in the Lord's faithful love and promise of restoration. The book of his prophecies stands as a testament to God's justice and mercy, his judgment and restoration, his holiness and love. Through Ezekiel, we see the Lord's commitment to purify his people and dwell among them, even when their sins had driven them far from their homeland and his temple. And so the priest who became a prophet in exile fulfilled his commission, speaking truth to a rebellious people, yet always pointing them toward the hope of restoration. His visions of God's glory, at the beginning of his ministry by the Chebar canal, departing from the temple in judgment and returning to a new temple in restoration, frame the story of God's dealing with his people, a story of justice tempered by mercy and judgment yielding to restoration.